And Duane Muhammad, who's running for mayor of Dalton, is about upliftment as well, who's been a longtime resident of Dalton. And why just sit on the sideline when you got experience? And that experience is going to transfer, of course, into the mayor's office there. So we're working on
Oh
that.
yes, I'm excited about his campaign because he's
Yeah.
done so much in helping to train our youth out there in Dalton. Just a remarkable brother. So yeah, I'm excited to hear what he has to say as well.
Yeah, well, we're going to have him on shortly as well. Assalamu alaikum. We are back, and brothers and sisters, I have to tell you. See, this is what they said. If you don't use it, God will take it from you. See, you know what I used to look at, Richard, and this will be something that you can appreciate. Morgan Douglas Carter, we used to call him the conversation star.
Yes.
Morgan didn't have much money, but he had great ideas, and he loved webcasting. And, you know, this technology meant so much. You, brother, took in the 58 weeks of what Minister Farrakhan was doing
Yes, sir.
worldwide, you know?
Yes, sir.
That was important. Now, he took some questions in advance and went on to talk about some of the things that he was going to do. But you want to know that people are interacting. They watching you. You're not just talking, and then those critics that they really have some legitimate to criticize. If they call you and you don't respond, but if they don't even call you, you don't even know they exist.
I asked that with my campaign manager. I said, why is it when you reach out, you may not get a strong feedback? She said, you're still touching people.
Right.
It's just like radio.
Right.
When you listen to radio, the majority of people are listening, they're not calling.
Right.
Because if you notice the radio callers, let's say VON, it's the same pool of people.
Right.
I've listened to VON since the days of Herb Kent, the Cool Gent. And I think I may have called in VON a couple times.
Right.
So there are those who are watching us, Brother Munir, but interaction is very important.
If I didn't think that people was watching, I wouldn't be on. But that's why what angers me so, and that's probably why they resist so much, because they know the abrasiveness that I'm taking is directly toward them
Yes, sir.
for not calling. But see, the lively art of conversation.
Yes.
See, one caller could generate a question that someone else was thinking and that you might answer. Like, I'm still trying to get over this femininity of men and how long it's been in the work. And then I'm thinking from your vantage point, here you are telling me that the people are in the dark. I mean, it's a manageable problem. The average person, $50,000 in income.
The median income is 50. So
Isn't
there are
that
those
so?
above it and there are those below it. But that feminization is a very important thing, as our editor just mentioned earlier, that with young boys, some of it is, as Brother Richard can tell you, is in the diet, it's in the air, it's in the water, and as Dr. Wesley talked about, it even can go into the seed, where the person will come out feminized.
Right.
But we see the effect where girls are more aggressive and boys are becoming more softer.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the other thing, it is a multi-layered campaign. If you go back, if you look at Laugh TV, which is if you don't have cable, that's one of your choices. You look back at shows in the 80s and the 90s, shows like Spin City, where one of the central characters was a gay black man. You look at Will and Grace. So there has been this imposition, this social acceptability of a lifestyle, orientation, and behavior. So we don't call for people to be hurt, harmed, denied any rights because of that orientation. But we cannot co-sign that which the Creator does not agree with. And the greater our understanding that we have an enemy, and our greater understanding that this enemy operates on so many different levels. But you have now, for example, you have rappers, male rappers, dressing in dresses. Matter of fact, you had a whole movement of men wearing dresses allegedly to show support for women. Who introduces that mindset to you? Why do I have to paint my fingernails or put on a feather boa to be a good father to my daughter? It is not me reflecting her nature that helps her. It's me being who I am. that is the opposite of her. So now she can be fully who she is.
Right.
Appreciate a man so that when she seeks a mate, she is now able, as I said earlier, the male is not like the female and the female is not like the male.
You know, you were saying something at one point. It's not just the tolerance of things. You know, they used to accuse us of this homophobia and all this, but when you just throw something down a person's throat, that if in fact, if you're not this, you got the problem.
Brother Munir, look, let me give you an example.
Give me,
okay?
Please.
I was talking to a sister from Atlanta. She works with young girls. She had a girl, let's say between 11 and 7 years old. Maybe she was a little older, let's say between 13 and 11, who came to this sister and said, I'm gay. So the sister looked at her, she said, oh, you're gay? Really? Yes, I am, and here's why. You know, I've heard these things, and this is what I like, and this is what I do, so I'm gay. So the sister said, so what do you think about having sex with other women? The little girl said, ew, that's nasty. So the sister said, okay. The little child did not even fully understand what all of this meant. So the sister told her, look, sweetheart, you are who you are, and don't let anybody's definitions and anybody's arguments convince you of who you are, and you don't even know yourself. There were times when if you had questions even about your sexuality, and remember we're saying this feminization goes way deeper than just your sexual orientation, but there were times when you could figure out what that was. But today you're being taught from a 4 or 5 year old, well, he's not really a boy, he's a girl. So let him wear a dress. The minister talked about this also in lectures where he talked about both environment and heredity. Both the things that happen during conception and even during the maturation of the child in the womb that can impress certain tendencies, and also environment that now reinforce and you get. I mean, the ministers talked about his mother's influence, where he has a side that is, we would call it, a heavily feminine side. He's a fully developed man. But his compassion, his patience, his love, even his fierce devotion for people under fire is like a mother defending children. But he's a fully developed man, so he's well acquainted with all aspects of who he is.
So that's the balance.
That is the balance. And that balance is being swept away, where now it's like, well, people say there's no difference in gender. I mean, there's no reason. I mean, there's really no, I don't know why you're calling yourself a male even. And it has a devastating impact on our community because we're so vulnerable.
What do you see in your neighborhoods in Dalton, the youth? Because they're talking about the way your mentor program at the fitness center and even a martial arts training you have over there, don't you? So.
Yes. Well, it kind of ties into this this feminization, because the young boys that we mentor, that's part of what we talk about. There is almost a military-style training that we include in our mentorship, and I have my original lieutenant here, Brother Shahid Muslim, and I don't want to put him on the spot, but he was part of my development as a young man. There were certain things that you teach young boys, because oftentimes the fathers are absent. So we as uncles and men have to take the place of those fathers. I'm sorry.
I hate to interrupt, but I think we've had a couple of calls and we've been talking on it.
Great.
Caller, you're on the air. Caller?
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Munir. Sister Munir Muhammad calling from Camden, New Jersey.
Well, what a wonderful sister you are. God, to be more careful. I'm sorry. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sister?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Brother Munir.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank you for taking my call, but I did want to just touch base on what Brother Richard said. I appreciated the point with the young women being confused, or our girls being confused because they're given a message. I remember growing up and seeing tomboys, and that didn't, our girls didn't identify as lesbian or gay because they like to run and climb trees. And so I'm glad that the final call and our brother Wesley Muhammad is certainly putting light and shining an awareness on this issue where our people are being re-socialized right before our very eyes. And I just wanted to express my appreciation for that.
Did you express it, and did we need it? Thank you so much, sister. See, that's what I'm saying. Generates a lot. She said a lot. I knew trombone. And in fact, I was scared of a few of them. One that was, her name was Gloom. She whooped a fella. But we liked her. But that's all she was. She was a tomboy.
And very often, Brother Munir, they grow up to be the most beautiful
That's what I
women.
want to say about Gloach. I'm telling you. Let me take another call. I'm sorry. Caller, you on the air. Caller, are you there?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah, I wanted to direct my question this afternoon to Duane, because I think everybody in the city of Chicago and the surrounding suburbs are very frustrated. I know he mentioned 10-year plan, and he talked about taxes, and this is what's stressing all of us out. And historically, when you look at the city of Chicago and in the suburbs, wherever you look here, you see cranes going up, but usually they are not in our communities. And usually there are people who don't look like us on these sites. So I just would like to ask him.
Well, where are you calling from, ma'am, if you don't mind?
I'm Chicago. This is Kim, your senior producer. But I just wanted to say, since you've been on the board, and I know I was downtown recently, and I was extremely frustrated just trying to get through the traffic downtown now. It's a nightmare. They're talking about more cranes. If you go to Orland Park, it's nothing but construction everywhere. So I just would like for you to briefly talk about what has been done and what do you think you can do differently. I know you mentioned do for self, and sometimes you mentioned about the brutal truth. Sometimes our people may not want to hear that, at least as part of the solution to whatever it is that we have to face going forward as a community. Thank you.
Wonderful question. And to put it in its perspective, we have approximately a $30 million budget in the village of Dalton.
What kind of budget?
About $30 million. What does that mean? That means if you have a $30 million budget, you can't spend over $30 million.
Right.
That means that's the money that you got coming in. A government should run like a business. The only difference between a government and a business is that a government is not there to generate a profit. You are getting money to supply services for the residents. You can't supply services for the residents if you have an off balance in your budget. Now, the sister made reference to contractors and workers. The one good thing about a 98% African-American community, you have the say-so of the workers that are coming into your village.
Sure.
You have the say-so who's going to be the police chief. You have say-so who's going to be your fire chief. You have the say-so who's going to be your superintendent of public works. So with that kind of say-so, you have control of the budget. You have controls of the monies. There's nobody outside. Now, one of the problems with Dalton is that we can't secure enough revenue from the real estate taxes because you got the highest rate of foreclosures in the village of Dalton. So how do you solve that problem? I think that's what Sister's saying. What do you do to solve this problem? That's when you get into the trades. You have about 30,000 jobs, manufacturing jobs, that are leaving Illinois every year. What does that mean? That means the baby boomers are retiring, they're leaving, but the young people are not being introduced to these trades. The young people are not being introduced to plumbing, carpentry, electrical, home building. We have to get these young people into these trades so that we can turn this foreclosure rate around. Therefore, you're generating more revenue with real estate, and then you bring in more businesses in. So when you bring more businesses in, why not get businesses of people that look like you and me? If I'm going to get an attorney that's going to deal with the legal affairs of my community, I want to get somebody that looks like me, that spends money in my community. We have the say-so over those dollars.
You know, this is a fantastic discussion. It's only, see, just from the two calls it inspired, but I have to give Mayor Muhammad here, he can get going, and so he just, all you need is a platform. Will you come again?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
And this time we're going to promote this live one, okay?
Appreciate that.
We got to do this.
Thank you.
Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, I mean, it could be next Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Next Wednesday, the 15th?
15th, which is our town hall meeting at the Dalton Bowling Alley.
Okay, well, we have to go. Brothers and sisters, thank you so much. And don't wait so long next time. Start the call, and I have to tell you that my sister out of Camden and Kim, I didn't even know who you were. But it's just very nice that people pay attention.
Yes, sir.
And have good questions,
Yes,
you know. Thank you so much for watching. May Allah bless you with the light of understanding as I greet. Get your final call. When?
734 West 79th Street, finalcall.com.
Yeah, finalcall.com. Thank you for watching. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum.